Welcome back to another edition of Thoughtful Thursday, episode number 17. We were going to go back to our sermon series, but we all decided that we wanted to just continue with the staff DNA conversation because some people at this table thought it might feel like too much of a cliffhanger, and we didn't want anybody to feel that way. Those are the two people.
Also, the sermon series sucks.
It wasn't me because
Nick wasn't a part of the conversation.
I wasn't there.
He left. He wasn't feeling good.
I'm actually super bummed we're not talking about this sermon series, but
My tum-tum hurt.
Maybe we will.
we've done this to ourselves.
We may decide that we're going to.
It'll be fine.
All right, so we established before the episode, we always have a conversation before we actually start recording. We're going to be doing some freewheeling today, all right? They did not believe me that was a real thing. I had to prove to them that it was. And
I believed you. I said, I'm sure it's a thing.
last week we talked about 3 staff DNA, all right? We talked about the team. We talked about 5% living, and we talked about have the crucial conversation.
Quick question.
Yes.
What is the plural of DNA? Is it DNA or is it? That seems right. I don't know. You said we talked about 3 staff DNA, and I was like, is it?
Well, I
we talked
think
about
it's
DNAs?
just. I think it's DNA.
DNA is one thing made up of many parts.
Like if I was like, I bet Nick's DNA gave him that great hair. You wouldn't say his DNAs.
So we talked about 3 parts of our DNA.
I like that.
Yeah.
Like that.
Of our DNA, because that's a different thing than just DNA, scientifically speaking. Our DNA.
Not our DNA.
I know. Gosh.
It took me a second to figure out what he was doing. I was like, how is our DNA different?
All right, so we're going to leave this up to chance how we pick the next 3 that we talk about. Also, we're recording 2 episodes a day, so if we're wearing the same clothes, not if, we are wearing the same clothes for the next 2 episodes. We're not just weird people that wear the same clothes every day. We're just recording 2 today. So
you and I could switch shirts.
I could turn mine around and the sweat stain on my back would make my shirt look different.
Gross.
Thank you for that.
So we are going to let Nick, you're going to pick one.
Ooh.
And then I have this magic 8-ball my kids got from Arby's. Whatever you say, we're going to let the magic 8-ball decide if that's the one we're doing or not. If not, we're going to the next person.
Wow.
We spend the first 15 minutes of the
Yeah.
podcast episode.
I'll just say whatever you say.
No, don't do that.
Okay. I would like to talk about wow, not how.
Wow, not how.
That's a good one.
Wow.
All right, here we go.
Yeah. Wow.
The suspense is killing me.
Signs point to yes.
Let's go.
Oh my gosh. Can I see?
Also,
They got this at Arby's?
I'm slightly disappointed that you let your kids play with occult items.
Magical items. It's not even a good magic 8-ball. It's
I don't know about you, but in my
It's
house
from
growing up,
Arby's.
that was on the same level as a Ouija board
Yes.
and D&D.
I think if I got one of those from a fast food place as a kid, I would have lost my mind. That would have been the
Oh,
coolest
no.
thing
yeah.
That would have
ever.
been incredible.
oh yeah. I loved a good.
That's pretty
magic
amazing.
8-ball. Yeah.
So, wow, not how. And this is I'm just going to start the conversation.
go ahead,
I'm
man.
feeling
You picked
really
it.
positive.
Yeah, you
after
picked
that, 8-ball roll. So, this is honestly every single one of our staff DNA. It's something that we all live by and that we all love. And so each one is unique and special. But this one is one that's super fun for me because there's 2 different types of people generally, I think. There's wow people that dream and are like, let's do this big, awesome thing. And then there's how people that are like, cool. How in the world are we going to make it happen? And so we want to be a team that starts with wow. We don't want to be a team that hows things to death. Big things happen when we start with wow. And this has been, I think, especially early on, one of the funniest ones, I think, one that we laughed a lot about. Because we have one particular team member.
Let's not name any names.
No, I won't. That really struggles with the wow. And to be fair, I think that I struggle with the how. So early on, when we're trying to adopt this wow, not how kind of value, they would say things in staff meeting like, well, first of all, wow.
But we can't do that.
But I don't know, that it is one of those things that I just look back on with a lot of fondness of like.
That definitely has become a tagline.
Oh, no.
First of all, wow.
Wow. That's when you know you have a dumb idea.
Well, it's not even that. It's just like, oh, Mike's talking again. Like, first of all, wow.
Second of all, we have 5 days.
You're a moron. We have 5 days and $5.
Yeah.
First of all, wow, that is a really cool toy.
But I feel like it's a value where we as a staff are doing a couple things. One, thinking outside of the box. Two, maybe relying more on the Holy Spirit than our own power. Because I think that there's things that we've done over the years since implementing this value that I don't think anybody around our table would go, oh, yeah, I don't think we can do that.
The microphone's pointing to your chin, by the way.
Sorry about that.
Like this. He's using your larynx. Hey, guys, my name is Nick.
Would you love me if I couldn't use my vocal cords?
Probably more.
So I don't know.
Why do you, I'll open this up. Why do you think it's important? And maybe someone watching goes, I don't think that's important. That's not a value for me. That's cool.
So
I think you're wrong. But why do you think starting with wow is important?
So I think, how do I want to say this? So I think one of the big ideas here with this is, first of all, you need to have the right people and a diverse group of people around the table. You want anyone that's at that table to feel like they have a voice. And think about this, like in your own life, if you are an idea giver, even if it's to your family, hey, we should go do this, we should do this, we should do this, and the answer is always no, what happens?
They stop giving.
You shut down. Mm-hmm. You quit giving ideas, right? So in a leadership environment, in an organization, if you have a team member who's consistently giving ideas and always being shut down, you're going to silence that voice. And I think that's a critical misstep as a leader, to not empower the people at the table, get more people at the table. But if you're silencing their voice, that's a big problem. And I love, Andy Stanley talked about this idea of like, as the leader, your job is not to have all the ideas. And I think maybe we think about a Steve Jobs and we think, oh, that guy was brilliant. He was creative. He came up with all these insane things. And so we have in our mind that our job as the leader is to be the brilliant point person that everyone follows and says, oh, Mike's brilliant. He's coming up with all these great ideas. Nobody's ever said. But our job is as...
Could we cut that sound clip and just make that my ringtone, please? Mike's brilliant. Mike's brilliant.
That would be good. Anyways, yeah, so our job as leaders is not to be the ones that come up with those ideas, but to sit around the table, have conversations, get good ideas from good people, and recognize them whenever they come up. Mm-hmm. And if you're always starting with the logistics of how can we implement that, how can we do that, you're just going to kill things and you're going to kill people before they ever really get going.
Yeah, I mean, you have to get to the how at some point.
Yeah,
like
absolutely.
The how conversation has to take place.
Yeah.
Because, like, I know there's some analytical people watching, just their skin's crawling right now because it's like, oh, great, a bunch of people just sitting around talking about these big ideas, and we don't actually have a way to do it. So, yeah, it's important to get to the how, but our thing is just leading with the wow. It's funny because I feel like I'm good at this here, and I'm really bad at it at home. Like... I don't know why that is. I'm like, even just as I'm sitting here thinking through that, I'm like, well, that's really weird. Why would I be that way here, but not that way at home? My wife would tell you I am a how, not wow at home for sure. And here I'm not that way. So that's not a thing. That's just a confession.
Do you think sometimes, and I'm not saying this to answer your question about why not at home, but sometimes if you're the one that has to do all the how,
Yeah.
then like that just makes you
overwhelmed or whatever.
and not want to do the wow.
Yeah,
And some of it might be passion too. You know, like this is more my passion than a home renovation project.
Yeah.
So I'm like, oh wow, this stuff.
Right.
But like the stuff where it's like, oh, we should, you know, put this new light fixture. I'm not like, wow. I'm like, yeah, whatever. I don't care.
Yeah.
How could that possibly ever get done?
How are you going to get someone else to do that?
Yeah. I think it's important just to empower our volunteers as well. Like I'm just thinking, I can't give exact, you know, examples, but just various times when even like small group leaders or hosts or storytellers over in for the elementary, you know, maybe they would be like, hey, I want to do this for my class, or I was thinking I would do this for the game instead. And I would be like, yeah, awesome. Like I love that people want to put their own wow into something, and it's not just, no, it has to be my wow. And they make it happen.
Yeah.
So
Anything else on that? That one's pretty straightforward.
Yeah, I think it's just a great tool to empower people.
Let me just maybe wrap up this one by asking the question, like, if somebody out there was like, man, this is a cool value I want to implement in my family, or maybe even at work or something like that, how would they do it?
You can't do it in your family.
No, we established that. Mike can anyways. I think there's a big one with your kids. Your kids are going to have ridiculous ideas. Like, I mean, you know how kids are. They just say the most off-the-wall things. A couple of my kids' brains kind of work like mine, a little more entrepreneurial, so they always have these, like, ideas to make money. And just look for ways to be able to wow it and help them with that. And I don't know if that's what you're asking, but like this last week I took the girls to Angola. I had to get something, and they wanted to go to Hobby Lobby, and of course they saw all the stuff, and it was like, oh, we can make these things and sell them. And I'm like, in my mind, I'm like, I know how this is going to go. Like, it's going to be dumb, the thing you make. People are going to sympathy buy it, and I get to do all the work. So Lily had an idea with these like little zipper pouches with these iron-on patches, and I was like, okay, yeah. I had a moment in Hobby Lobby where I was like, I can say no to this and say, just go get a craft to do on your own. You know, she had $40 to spend from her birthday.
Had a girl.
And she was like, well, this is what I want to do. I want to make these and sell them. And I'm like, do I let her waste her $40 on this thing, or do I steer her a different way? And I was like, you know what? If it goes south, the lessons learned. It's a simple thing to do. It's just an iron-on patch. I was like, well, how much do you want to sell them for? $10. I'm like, nobody's going to pay $10 for these. So she made 8 of them, sold them in an hour at $10 a piece.
she doubled her money.
Yeah. And immediately she goes, so now I could go buy more stuff. And I'm like, oh crap, now I'm pulled into a business here. I'm marketing, I'm sales, I'm all of it.
Break out the iron, Dad.
But I think it's important, though, that you let her have the wow. And even wow doesn't mean that this is automatic success.
Yeah.
Sometimes wows don't end up the way we thought, and that's okay.
Yeah.
It's okay to have more wows.
Well, her sister was annoyed with her wow because she was like, oh, well, our stuff that we made isn't as cool as that. So now our stuff's not going to sell. And they were like, I was like, just wow. You know, first off, wow.
I think, Nick, a lot of it comes down to just thinking through what's the end goal? Like, what are we trying to create? What kind of culture, even within our family, are we trying to create? What's the outcome that we want for our kids? Do we want our kids to have crushed little spirits, you know, who are scared and fearful of all the things that will probably go wrong, and not willing to take risk and not willing to put themselves out there? I think about, like, I mean, my kids are older now, college and senior in high school, and the things that they're asking for are more like, hey, can we go do this? Can we go do a day trip here? Can we go do a vacation here? And most of that, I'm like, man, we can't afford all this. But like, the question I'm asking myself is, do I want my family like at the end of the summer, do I want us to look back on this and go, hey, we sat in our living room and we binged Netflix together. What a great adventure. Because if I how everything to death, that's what we'll produce. Right. So what's the outcome? What am I after? I want my kids to, whenever they leave our house, I want them to be risk takers. I want them to dream big. And I think most everybody wants that for their kids. And living in an environment or creating an atmosphere, an environment in your home where you how things to death, I think will be the opposite of producing those big risk taking, dream big, knock down doors.
I think it takes intentionally coaching that and giving permission, because they might not know to do it naturally. Some do, some are natural at it, but others not so much.
You need to get Abby and Caleb in on Lily's operation there. Then you guys have plenty of money.
Yeah,
no kidding.
Sell canvas bags.
That's what someone posted, like a travel agent friend posted a trip yesterday, and I was like, yeah, I told Mickey, I was like, let's go. It was like a last minute deal. I was like, well, I'm like, let's just go.
Those are the best.
And she said no. And I was like, well, we'll just get Lily to sell some more bags. That'll cover the cost.
How many would that take?
Yeah, it'd take a lot. It would take a lot. Go ahead.
No, I was just thinking it really does empower. You give so much confidence to someone when you respond that way. I just was remembering coming in, years ago to you guys saying, I want to lead teams to Uganda. And if you would have been like, okay, how? I'd have been like, I don't know. But that's where the Holy Spirit comes in. Like the Holy Spirit puts a passion in your heart and you're like, okay, I want to do this, and he's going to help me figure it out. Yeah. So
I watched a mini documentary, I don't know, a couple days ago it was on ultra running. Surprise, surprise. And
I can't believe
it was this young girl who was running this massive trail in Australia that nobody had run end to end. It was like 250 kilometers, just like brutal trail. And she's like 24. And so they're asking her how she started. She said, I've actually been in the ultra running world for 10 years already, because she started when she was 14. And it was kind of a big deal because her dad got a lot of hate because she was like, she wanted to do this. And so they signed up for a 100K race, which is like 60 something miles at 14. And he told her when she got to the start line, like, there's a lot of people here that do not think you should be doing this, that think I'm a terrible father for letting you do this. Don't let other people's, what they think is possible or not possible, keep you from doing the big things you want to do. So shut them all up and freaking murder this race. And she got like third as a 14-year-old.
Wow.
And then awesome. She's like gone on to win, like she got third at Western States, which is like the Super Bowl of trail running. And she's just like an amazing runner now. And she didn't have a running background at 14. It was just like, her thought was, I saw people coming off a course eating. I like food. And I like nature, and this seems like a good way to combine the two.
I would never put that
sign
together.
up for a race so I can eat at the end.
Yeah, no, you get to eat during the race. That's the best thing about it, man. I'm trying to convince you all. It's an amazing sport. You get to eat while you do it.
See, I can
There's
do
so
that
many things I can
in my car, in a drive-through. Cammie, could you toss me that pen, please?
No,
or Mike.
But Mike will.
It's closer to me.
I thought you were going to literally just whip it at me.
All right, next one, Daniel.
Yeah, I was just thinking.
You pick. Well, the 8-ball will choose.
Yeah. Man, there's a lot of pressure on this.
Get it ready here.
How about honor up, down, all around?
Honor up, down, all around. All right, here we go. Pretend to shake it even though it doesn't matter.
It's going to tell me no. I can feel it.
Please be no. As I see it, yes.
Hey. All right.
I think there's 3 options on here, and 2 of them are yeses and 1 is a no. So it's a good chance it'll be a yes.
Got a 66% chance.
It's a wow ball.
Math genius over here.
Well, 2/3 is not a genius level arithmetic.
That's why it was sarcasm.
I didn't catch that.
You're not catching a lot this morning.
He has a headache.
I'm working on this. Right after I said honor up, down, all around, I immediately regretted my decision and was hoping it would be a no.
Oh,
Wow.
okay. Well, the 8 ball is spoken, so
Yeah,
that's what
we're doing it.
So why don't you read what we have down for honor up, down? How do we define that?
We always give honor to the people around us, whether it is people serving on a team we lead, serving alongside of us, or someone above us. Honor up, down, all around.
Up, down, all around. Be a great little jingle.
Or it wouldn't.
Up, down, all around.
So why did you choose this one and then immediately regret it?
Well, the reason I immediately regretted it is I feel like some of it is a lot of overlap on what we just talked about as far as giving value.
Well, it's easy
Yeah.
transition.
And I
into
thought,
it.
well, that'd be better to talk about again in the next podcast episode.
it's recorded on a different day.
Episode
Not
18.
today.
So we
Episode
could
18.
come with a new perspective and fresh
but
ideas.
not a new shirt.
But not a new shirt.
Yep. So anyways, we'll talk about it now.
All right. So why do you like honor up, down, all around?
I don't know. I like them all.
Why did you pick this one?
So-
you're really nailing it here.
I think.
Wow. First off, wow.
yeah,
You're doing a great
thank you.
job.
I appreciate that.
Now, how are you going to defend this position?
So I think one of the things that I have seen, especially in young, quality, like skilled leaders, people who are really good at what they do, and so they're handed leadership keys. And I think we see this all around. This is not just a church thing. But one major struggle I see in young leaders particularly is you get a big head, you get prideful, and you start to think that kind of because you've maybe risen through the ranks quickly, or people who are wise and are really good at this stuff have identified something in you, they've spoken something to you, they've called things out in you and given you these positions to lead other people. Now you kind of, rise up a little bit, and the people maybe below you or the people that didn't get there as fast are less than. And I think this is such a beautiful tool to remind us, one, we lead by serving others, but we should give honor and value to everyone. We can learn from everyone. I love, as part of our sermon prep team, we brought in somebody that wasn't on staff, that was newer to faith, newer to church, young guy, didn't have kids yet. And it was like, we have a lot to learn from him. It doesn't need to be all theologians sitting here talking about how to communicate.
Yeah.
So it's things like that. And I think that's probably the biggest thing. It's just, it's a beautiful model of keeping us humble, reminding us that we should honor, value everyone, whether they're someone that I'm reporting to above me, a peer, someone that I'm leading, a volunteer, whatever it may be. They have value, and I should be able to honor them. I should be able to learn from them.
I was just listening to a sermon, and this, I don't think she's a pastor, but her name is Lisa. I wish I could remember her last name, but she was teaching at Elevation this past Sunday.
Turkers?
No, I think it was Turner, though, or something, which it doesn't matter. But she was talking about young leaders just not having humility because they've been given a stage very quickly out of the gate, and they didn't have time to build the scaffolding of humility underneath it. So they just had that big head because they had this big platform and stage without the whatever underneath.
The groundwork.
Yeah.
Character hasn't developed at the same rate as skill.
Yeah. Which is not necessarily their fault,
Right.
depending on, who is discipling them and leading them. And anyway.
I was on the phone yesterday with, I'm in like this Facebook group. It's like a fitness thing, and they somehow knew I was a pastor, found out I was a pastor, and her husband's in leadership at their church in California, and there's like, hey, we have some questions on how you guys are structured and that kind of stuff. Can I call you? I've never met these people. And I mean, we ended up talking on the phone for like an hour and a half last night. Pretty cool conversation, but a lot of it was around this kind of stuff. And so we actually talked about this document, and it was like,
Did you tell them to listen to the podcast?
no, I didn't.
I hope not.
What are we doing here?
We've just lost all credibility with him.
Yeah. We were talking about in general, just these staff DNAs. I said DNAs.
You sure did.
Sure did. I don't know now. Everything I thought I knew to be true.
It's either one.
Yeah. And just the value of that. And we talked about this one specifically just because there were some issues with that and what that was causing and the leadership issues that were happening. And so I think this one is really, really, really valuable and important because, like you said, it makes everyone feel like they're valued because at the end of the day they are. Especially, yeah, this is very true in the business world too, for sure, and your business will be better if you do this. But this feels like a super spiritual one too, and I know it's not written that way, but I do feel like it actually is because that's the body of Christ. Like that was the one place when the church started where like the playing field was leveled. Like slave, male, female, rich, poor. All of a sudden you came to this place and it was like leveled. And you had instances where, if Cammie, you were the master of an estate and I was your slave, you were my boss there, but we came to church and all of a sudden I was in a position of leadership here and you weren't. And like the humility to be able to live that out is kind of wild. And that is a picture of the body of Christ. And so if we don't do that as a team, we're not embodying the body. Because, and it goes back to Wow Not How, like you said, there's some overlap because if, as a point leader, you don't practice this, people don't give ideas, you become the bottleneck of your organization. If you run a business, you're the bottleneck of your organization because somehow you've convinced yourself that you are the stopping point and you are the end all be all. And nobody has the ability to say things to you. Again, it goes back to crucial conversations. If you honor up, down, all around, Nick, you can sit down with me and go, hey, I see maybe some of these things that might be issues. I don't know if you're aware of that or you violated this. If I don't honor up, down, all around, I can't hear that.
Right.
Yep.
You don't do that. And now we have a major chasm in our team. And all of a sudden that grows. And then a leader looks around and goes, I wonder why nobody likes working here. Or I wonder why we can't keep staff. Or I wonder why our bottom line isn't as good as I would want it to be, because you've just created this major chasm that nobody can get around and nobody wants to work at a place like that.
I didn't realize until maybe you said that how connected honor up, down, all around is to 5% living and having a crucial conversation.
Yeah.
The 5% living. That's cool.
Anything else on that one?
Cam?
I don't really have anything more to say about it than what you already did.
And I'll say, going back to it being a spiritual issue, the reality is, if you run a business, yes, you're the boss and there's middle management and there's, the hourly employees, but from a that was an interesting. What you doing? That was good.
That was me trying to control a yawn.
That was your eyes going, please don't acknowledge this. Please don't acknowledge the sound I just made.
As if we wouldn't.
Yeah. From a Jesus perspective, though, like, we're all created beings made in the image of God and Imago Dei.
Yep.
And to not honor that is a very anti-God thing. I'm not honoring you because of what you can do. I'm honoring you because of who you are and that you were created by God.
Yeah.
For me, this is just a great reminder, especially maybe when we are at our worst, because you guys, people that go to church here, our volunteers, have done some really boneheaded things in the past and will do some in the
we're not
future.
done doing boneheaded things.
Yeah. And this is a great reminder when you're really upset at someone for doing something that was just stupid or sinful or wrong, and just being reminded, like, yeah, this is a person created in God's image, and I love them, and I need to honor them, even if they, maybe deserve a talking to, or, a heart-to-heart conversation, or a, whatever it is, that you can still honor somebody even.
And going out of your way to publicly show honor to people, I think, is a big thing as well. Whether it's volunteers on your team, whether it's, the person you're following, they're your leader, any way you can publicly honor people, I think, is a good thing. And this overlaps with the team as well, because it's a very dishonoring thing when someone comes to Cammie and says, hey, that was really dumb. Why'd we do that? It's easy to go, well, I told him we shouldn't. But,
it wasn't my idea.
Yeah, that's what the leader said. So that's what we're doing. Like, immediately you've created dissension, and a dishonoring has taken place. When we don't, in our values and our culture, it's a dishonoring thing to not use we language.
Yeah.
So there's definitely some overlap.
I was just thinking how important this is in a family, home, marriage, whatever, for me to honor my husband so that my children are seeing me honor him, even if I'm frustrated with him or don't agree with someone, not having that, hash it out in front of the kids, or even, if they are upset at him and me not, he's, whatever. It has such an impact on how your kids honor, their mom and dad and one another, siblings.
Sure.
Yeah. And how I honor my kids. Like, man, I was a screamer when my kids were little. I've grown out of that, thankfully, because
your kids are
they're
gone.
pretty much out of the house. So who do I have to scream at? Myself.
The dog.
The dog. It's now the dog. But I would just rage and scream when they were younger, and, all the way up to 10 or whatever. And I'm like, oh, that's not honoring. And it was so disrespectful, even if they deserved it. But
yeah, I've been in those moments where I'm like, I would never talk to another human being this way.
I know.
Right.
Like, if I did this at work, people would be like, what is happening?
And if
right
someone
now?
screamed at me, I would be like, I'm never listening to you again.
Yeah, or I'm fighting you.
Yeah. Yeah. I was, I love, obviously those of us with a faith background, this is so connected to our faith, that we all matter, that we all have value. And as you were talking about that was such a great point. But I was also thinking, like, okay, so take maybe a faith element out of it if that's not your thing. Just logically, it just makes sense. And I was thinking back to, I think it was when Alan Mullaney was CEO of Ford, and he was talking about whenever he came in, one of the things that he did was he gave, and I hope I'm attaching this to the right company. Right. It could be somebody totally different. But if I remember it right, one of the things that he did was he gave just blanket authority to anyone on the assembly line to stop the assembly line at any point if they saw something wrong, rather than it have to come from this, lead person or a line supervisor or whatever. Anyone had the authority if they saw something wrong, because they're the people on the ground. They're the ones doing the work. If they saw something wrong, or they also had the ability to speak that into whatever chain of command it needed to go to say, hey, if we do this, it will work better. It will be more efficient. It will be better for the company. And the radical change, not just the culture change, but also the quality and for the overarching business, the change that occurred, because you're giving value, you're giving a voice to the people that, in this case, they're the ones on the ground that actually could see the problems, see what would fix it, rather than lording, someone over them, and that person's supposed to have all the, authority.
When I worked at the factory, I won't say where, but anyway, I was on the assembly line, and one supervisor, she was like, you have to get, and she was talking to all of us, you have to get these parts done by such and such a time. No one's leaving. Like, she was just barking. And we were like, well, we're just going to go slower now, because now you've just made us angry. The next day we had a different supervisor, and she was like, man, they up their orders. We have this many, try to get as many done as you can. And she would come to, every time she came past, she was so encouraging. You guys are doing such an awesome job. I can't believe how fast you're going. Yeah. And we had all decided we're not leaving. Like, we're going to make sure the parts are done for her. Yeah. Because she's going to have to answer for it. And we did, and we had time to spare. So, because she honored us.
Yeah.
That's good.
And in return, you guys willingly chose to honor her.
Yes.
Just by your production.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
We were not going to allow her to fail.
Yeah.
That's cool.
All right, Cammie, which one do you want to move on to next?
Because I'm not sure how to pronounce that one word, I'm going to go with first mile, extra mile.
Are you talking about battle mediocrity? Meteorosity.
I will say,
mediocrity.
especially in all caps, that word is almost. You look at it, you're like, that's not a word.
I was going to say it that way, but I was like, no, I'll just go with first mile, extra mile.
Mediocrity.
Mediocrity.
I have to make sure I'm looking through the right
transition lens. All right, so first mile, extra mile. Let's see. Here we go.
I'm going to laugh if I get the first no. You're hoping.
Signs point to yes.
Come on,
you sounded so sad.
I know. I want to know. I want to play the game. You got to hold it.
There we go.
Well, you didn't. You just clicked over to the next one.
Well, that's what you should have done.
Yeah.
You got to hold it.
You know how to do magic.
I'm trying to show you. Murder him.
Give me this.
Hey,
you don't have the power.
Honor up, down all around.
You don't have the power. Yeah, murdering isn't very honoring.
Stupid.
All right, first mile, extra mile. So besides your inability to read,
yes.
Why did you choose this one?
That wasn't very honoring either. What are we doing?
Okay, a first mile, extra mile.
Now, one thing for us, sarcasm is honoring. Okay,
Yes.
Yeah, if you sarcastically.
Man, I'm honoring the heck out of you today.
Also, in our next episode, we're going to talk about a value that will explain how we interact better.
Okay, so this one says leaders go first. Leaders also go the extra mile when others have quit. Yeah, I just think this is so huge, so important. If you expect someone to follow you, and you want them to do things that you yourself are not doing or have not, shown them how to do or whatever, yeah, that's not going to go well. Or when you're just sitting down, watching them work or do whatever it is and not going the extra mile, I don't know.
Yeah. So not all of these, and we talked about this, I think, last episode, not all of these are like from the pages of Scripture.
Yeah.
Right?
But
this one
I do think this one is. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And just a couple of examples, when the Israelites are crossing the Jordan, it was like, call the leaders together. They'll step into the water first. They'll hold the water up. When they're in the water, when the ark's in the water will be dammed up river. And then, everyone can cross, but they had to go first. Mm-hmm. And then you see the example of Jesus going first with the crucifixion and everything he did, honestly. It's that idea of don't just do the bare minimum. Like from a practical, maybe non-spiritual side, it's don't do the bare minimum. Don't just do what you need to do to get by. Like go first and then go one more. And I just think that's such an important value for leaders. Yeah. I think.
Well, and that extra mile is also scriptural.
Yeah, that's where I thought you were going with the Romans.
Yeah. Yeah. Where you were required, the Roman law was if you were a Jew, you were required to carry their armor for a mile. And Jesus was telling them, hey, go another mile. Don't just do the bare minimum. But
Yeah.
but
I was going there, but I forgot.
yeah, I know you are. That's all right.
Thanks for picking that up for me.
Which, like, can you even imagine how, like, that just burns anger in me, first of all, that I have to carry your bag for you. And, like, you're the seemingly the enemy, the other country that's came in and invaded.
Occupying.
Yeah. And then to be like, you know what? I'm going to carry your bag another mile. Like, how humbling.
But as like a Roman officer, does that just like burn you up a little bit? Like,
The
just
second
don't-
mile, I think so.
Yeah, I just don't know how I would respond as the guy getting my bag carried. Like, no, you're not carrying an extra mile. I'm sure I'd be
You'd
happy
be
to.
like wrestling
No,
Be like, he's like,
carry my own stuff.
he's like crazy.
I don't want
What
you
is
to
happening?
gladly carry it. I
Yeah.
want you to do it out
I
of
want this to be painful for you.
I think
It would be so easy to get Mike to carry his own stuff.
I bet you can't.
Not with those small arms.
1 mile, I bet you can't even make it a mile.
Sorry, Nick, what were you saying?
no, you're good. How I've seen this played out just outside of the church has been when I worked in food industry, and there was one specific manager that I had that would, come back and help wash dishes. I mean, they're wearing a white dress shirt, like nice khaki pants, and they'd like roll up their sleeves, come back and help do dishes, or they would, get in the kitchen and help, make a few extra burgers or whatever it was. And that was huge, I think, for everybody on the team. He would run food, he would, refill sodas, whatever needed to happen during the day. At the end of the night, he had a lot of paperwork to do at the end of the night, and he'd come out and help, clean up and close the restaurant down. He was always the last person out the door, which, maybe he had to be legally, but
You're like,
Now looking
hindsight.
back.
I don't want you guys to steal all the food.
Yeah, it's like these idiots are going to take everything from me.
but there were times where I know for a fact that he was there way longer than he had to be because he was busy taking care of us. One thing that I really value, and something super simple here, but I think a way that it plays out is, there's sometimes where we have to tear down and reset up the entire auditorium. And our entire team does that together most of the time if everyone's available. And
Not really the setting up, because we argue about where the road
Yeah,
should
I
go.
got to get out of there because I'm like, my brain doesn't think this way, and everyone's mad at me for putting a chair in the wrong place.
Tearing down is great.
Yeah.
but that's not always how it was.
I think there's a dark underbelly to this as well, and it can be a trap. Like, let's use the restaurant manager. He has a job to do. He has a role to play. And you sometimes wonder, like, could you have done your job better had you not been trying to wash the dishes and flip burgers? And, it's that balance of like, look, you want to go first, you want to lead by example, but I'm not paid to wash the dishes. Like, I'll wash them if we need to, but even someone coming alongside of him to honor up, going like, hey, you don't have to wash the dishes, man. We got this. Go do your paperwork because I can't do that.
Well, there were
I
times
think-
where we didn't have dishes to use, so he
Yeah,
really
yeah,
did.
That's what I mean. There's definitely places for it, but
He's trying to
I
get out
think
of having to do chairs in the future. I hear where this is going.
Yeah, I hear it too. I think the trap is...
I'm not setting them back up. You don't want me or Cammie setting chairs up. I promise
No,
you.
I'm on the other team. Like, let's get these rows correct so that the 25 behind them are right.
Yes.
But there's some tension about what is correct, though, every time it seems like. It seems like we've done this enough. We should have it nailed down. Anyways, go ahead.
I think the trap for a leader is there is a very, very big difference between I'm going to lead by example and I'm going to lead by serving my team or organization, between that and I'm going to be a part of everything because I can't let go of control.
That's what I was wondering
Those
if it was
very, very different
yeah,
things.
like micromanaging every
Right.
detail because you can't just
Right.
trust. And I don't think that's what he was doing.
No,
he
no,
saw, oh, we have no plates.
We talk about like he's watching the podcast. We're like trying to apologize to
he
him.
did a great
Sorry, Clark.
job.
Sorry, Clark.
I think
you're
and
awesome.
I think you explained it great. I would work for him.
Yeah.
If I were in a restaurant.
And when he didn't work there anymore, it was horrible.
Yeah.
Because the other managers just were looking out for themselves.
Yeah, and I think as a leader, you've got to be able to self-assess and know, am I doing a good job of going first and going the extra mile, or am I having a problem of turning over leadership keys?
Or being a workaholic.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah,
Sure.
sure.
Because there can become conflicting things if you have a family, you're a parent, you're a mom, you're a dad, and you're going, well, no, I'm going to stay 4 extra hours at the office every day because I want my staff to know. But you're also now teaching them that their family's not as important as this job.
Yep.
So it's really just that tightrope of leaders do go first and they go the extra, but don't burn yourself out.
Yeah, not
and
the extra 10 miles, just one.
just go one. Okay, just go an extra one.
Yeah, and I think for us as a team, it's just really simply like, look, if we can't ask someone else to do what we're not willing to do.
Yep.
And so I think about like we did a large capital campaign building project with a lot of missional funds involved. It was incredible. But as staff, as elders, as leaders of the church, we can't ask people to financially sacrifice and give to that if we're not willing to do the same. When we talk about discipleship, we can't ask other people to mentor and disciple others if we're not willing to do it. We've got to be able to go first.
Yeah. Yeah, I like this. This is one of my favorites. This one is.
Okay, Yoda.
It seemed like you were trying to backpedal out of it.
No, not at all. I know some people naturally embody this though. Like they're, again, like the wow not how. Some people are really good at it. Some people it takes work. Some people are really good at this and almost too good at this. And the propensity can be to burn yourself out.
Yeah.
Because you're just carrying everything. And whether it's a control thing, you're just now carrying everything, doing everybody's job. And that's just a recipe for burnout.
Yeah.
I don't know if this makes sense. But in my new role in family ministry, kind of overseeing the warehouse for this season, it's been, I think, a really good thing for me to understand, know, and appreciate all that goes into making our elementary program happen. And kind of as we put together a team to oversee that and take over all the 1 million different roles that need to be created to keep that running forward. I think that it's helped me just appreciate what the volunteers are going to be doing, all those different things. And so I have, just been glad to be able to know at a more intimate level what it takes to make all of it happen and
The effort it
and
takes
I feel like if I never had the opportunity to be in this position, could anyone think that I'm legitimate, or I know this guy has never been in our shoes, he's never done this or that. And I think that this value has been something I've been thinking about over the last month or so, just thinking like, okay, no, I'm not going the first mile technically, because there's a lot of people who have been going for 20 years
miles.
worth of miles before I showed up. But I don't know.
It's kind of like a business that's family owned. You see this all the time that, the dad started the company and then, the son, daughter, whatever came along and didn't have to start at the ground, like sweeping the floors or whatever. They started in the office and management or whatever. And then it just is a dumpster fire after that. And that's literally what.
Yeah, it's a dumpster fire now, Nick.
No, that's not what I meant.
She's saying.
If you didn't know all these little details about, oh my goodness, printing curriculum is really annoying, but it has to be done. And now you understand that and you can hand that off to someone. But you have started on the ground, on the floor, sweeping, and now you have a better understanding and can manage it.
Yeah, so I appreciate that.
All right. Well, that was the next three in our staff DNA. And I was going to try to pretend like we were going to do something different, but we're not. Unofficial sponsor. I got one. Oh, you have one? No. I have one.
I said I do not.
Did you see her?
I said I do not.
I can
So we
talk
never figured
about
out
something
who's
I
in the
like,
other
though.
one.
I'll do it.
You're doing the one. You're not doing both of them.
Okay.
I refuse to let
We don't.
That's
have to,
fine.
We don't have to talk about both.
I've got two.
We're ruining
I've got
the
two.
illusion of.
So these are my sunglasses. Okay. I have two brands of sunglasses that I use, and it's a 2-for-1 special. Okay. So these are blenders. I'm a big believer in, for a long time, I bought just cheap gas station sunglasses because I was like, I'm going to lose them. I'll break them. And I was like, man, I want to buy nice sunglasses to see if I will actually take better care of them. And I did, but I still don't want to buy like Oakley's, like I'm not at that level. So these are good, like middle of the road. Oh, sorry about that.
Could you bring the Bluetooth down to none?
Oh,
Just pull it down. There we go.
That's incredible.
Yeah, that's
So glad you
right
did
through the
that.
That is
system.
way worse than anything Daniel has ever done up until this point.
Sure is.
You
By the
are
way, guys,
absolved, sir.
That was Dave Nichols calling me. So these are blenders. The other ones I use are a brand called Gooder.
We've talked about Gooder in the past. It's been a sponsor.
Yeah.
Has it?
It has 100%.
Did I do it?
Yes.
Dang, I just love it that much.
Wow.
All right, so
Wow.
forget that one. I got another one. All right, I've got sponsors coming out
I
of
could
everyone.
call you and give you some ideas.
Camp Barnabas.
Hey, this is a great one.
This is a great sponsor.
Yeah.
This is a great unofficial sponsor. They don't sponsor us. We sponsor them.
Yeah.
It's a reverse sponsorship.
They've given us. Absolutely
So yeah, we send a group of students here the last couple years. I've been here with a group of students in my student ministry days. It's an amazing camp. It's a camp for students who are developmentally and physically disabled. They have two camps. One is handicap accessible. The other one's not. But it's just so hard to explain. And every student we've sent, every adult we've sent will tell you the same thing. It is really difficult to put into words the amazingness you experience. It is a place full of joy. It's a joy to serve because you know what you're doing for these families. You're providing families, in some cases, like a week off. I mean, they are on 24/7 providing care for their child, and for them, it's a week off. There's a week of camp that's sibling camp. So if all your siblings come, if one's developmentally or physically disabled, the others aren't, they all come and they have kind of these separate camps. Parents just get a week off.
And they need it.
And it's showing value to this community of people where a lot of times they're not valued. It's an amazing place. So
and just from talking to Alex, there is nothing these kids can't do at camp.
oh no, I mean they're
they're
doing archery, they're doing zip line, they're water slides, they're swimming, they're boating, it's a week of camp. It's a week of camp.
And they're in the very final stages of a $7 million capital campaign to upgrade their camp, to build new facilities, to put in a brand new pool.
Fix their gazebo.
Too soon, bro.
So
I will say this: go to their website or their YouTube channel or their Vimeo channel, watch some of their videos because you'll probably just cry because you'll be so happy with what you're watching. I keep pointing this mug because it says Camp Bros, by the way. It's just, yeah, it's an amazing unofficial sponsor that we love and are super excited for what they're doing in the world and the difference they're making. So
Awesome.
that's our unofficial sponsor.
Great.
And buy some Gooders because they're awesome. Yeah. Anything else? We're done. All right. Thanks for hanging out with us for another episode of Thoughtful Thursday. We will see you again in a couple weeks.